Hey, welcome. Hey, my name is Stephen Lauber. I am the CEO at Trailhead. We are a cloud focused technology solution partner, and we're based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Our specialization is taking the complexity, the unexpected costs, and the frustrations out of secure, reliable IT. So that gives you a little background about me and about Trailhead. But today, we are talking about your data and how AI is putting it at risk. We'll spend a little time discussing how to balance innovation with proper security measures so you don't find yourself in a situation like other organizations have found themselves in. But before we dive in, let's frame this with a quick perspective on AI. One of the purposes of this presentation for you today is for me to give you some really easy things that you can go back to your office and execute, things you can actually do on your own. I'll show you some things that can help your organization improve speed, accuracy, and efficiency. And I'm going to show you how you can use AI to your advantage and experience firsthand the amount of impact this has when you do it right. So, how can you take advantage of AI in your workplace? Let me show you a really super simple, efficient way you can do this right now. I want you to imagine that you have a file, it's a simple export. You went into your QuickBooks and you exported a transaction detail report, like for the last 90 days. Now imagine if you could take that information and use it to go through and figure out your cash flow. Let's walk you through how you could do it. Cash flow projections are a crazy amount of work. So I'm going to walk you through the process of taking a cash flow document in Excel, just a simple export from QuickBooks. And then we'll take that over to Copilot, and Copilot's going to go through and predict where the risk is at in your cash flow. This will show you where the spots are that are concerning, but also will format all that data in a way that's understandable and usable. So the first thing you could do is inside of Copilot, you could actually go through and open that file. So here I am, I'm inside of that file. I went to Copilot. Then you can ask it some quick questions. For instance, you could say, hey, can you summarize the monthly net cash flow trends in this document? You'll type that in and hit enter. And look, all of a sudden you have everything summarized for you right there, ready to go. It'll show you what the cash flow looks like, and it will do more than your CFO could probably do in 4 hours' time, just with that simple prompt. And another thing you can do is ask, hey, based on a 3-month cash flow forecast, can you give me the next 6 months using a simple linear regression model? Can you imagine that? How much time would it take you to put together a simple linear regression model? Or go through and write me a very clear description of this that I can share with my executive team so that I can explain to them what's going on. These are all things you can do just by going through and pulling out one simple export from your QuickBooks file. And then finally, let's add a column based showing or column calculating the cash flow risk score for each month based on variability, negative cash flow, and trend volatility. All you have to do is put it in the prompt, and a few seconds later, you'll have that data set. In this case, it needs a little extra data. It's going to ask you for that. You'll give it, and then it'll update it for you. So we'll let that generate. And then you'll see we've got our documents. It's going to have that forecast for us so we can download. Here we go and grab it. So I mean, just think about how much time this can save you right now. Guys, that was really powerful. In just under 3 minutes, we went through 3 major things you could do with the last 90 days worth of your data. Pretty cool, right? You can even do this with ChatGPT as well. All you need to do is open up ChatGPT. So go ahead and go to chatgpt.com and just open it up and copy that data, then paste it right into your prompt, and then ask those same questions. And it'll go through and analyze the data and give you that information. Now, what you'll notice here is it'll give the graph and how the trends are moving and even give you a summary and financial forecast, all with just a couple of seconds and a quick copy and paste. This is plug and play. I mean, this is super simple. So I want you to do me a favor. As you're sitting there, answer the question: who just learned something that you can take back to your office and use immediately? If you're in a room, if I were in a room with you right now, I'd ask you to raise your hand, and I guarantee most of the hands in the room would go up. Right? A new way to use your AI, very simple way to figure out your cash flow and figure out the volatility, figure out what your cash flow risk looks like. Very simple way to figure out if you're in a healthy situation. Now imagine this was your company's actual data. But what information did you just share with Copilot and ChatGPT? I want you to think about that. All the transactions for the last 90 days. Super quick. It's an easy export from QuickBooks. Simple copy and paste. And now all of that sensitive data is in someone else's AI system. Should you have done it? Did you break your company's rules? Do you have policies around AI usage? The truth is, you're already leaking sensitive data just like this. You see, most of these data breaches happen because of insider threats. It's very simple. Someone clicks a link, someone shares a password, and somebody misses wire information and sends it to the wrong spot. We're talking links clicked, password shared, and wires sent. And that's a problem we address in a very simple way. We train people, we teach them, we give them clear rules in place and a clear understanding of what they can and can't do. But there's a new employee on your team. It's called AI. And it skipped the training. It doesn't care about your rules. Your team is already using AI. In fact, 75% of employees are using AI in the workplace right now, but they aren't telling you how. In a recent study, just over half of the employees who use AI in the workplace say that they're reluctant to divulge that they're applying it to their most important tasks. And roughly that same number worry about using it on critical tasks in their job because it makes them look replaceable. They're not thinking about the risk to their organization, they're thinking about the risk to themselves. And they don't even understand the risk to their organization. Because here's the thing: what AI sees, AI stores. And you have in your organization right now email, Excel, documents, SharePoint, a CRM, all feeding an AI engine. Most of the AI models that are being used right now are free models. Does it matter if it's a free model? Well, when it's a free model, what that means is the data that's being fed is then used to train the model itself. And what that ultimately means is that if someone asks the AI engine questions, it may give answers that include your data. Let's take a closer look at data leakage. You see, there's three ways that data can leak out of an organization. It can leak out the front door, it can leak out the back door, and it can go out the side door. First, the most obvious way data leaks out of an organization is the front door. This is where employees feed AI systems your sensitive data. We're talking personal data, talking financial information, we're talking intellectual property, and we're talking about credentials and communications. And why do they do this? It's really simple. They only see the reward, they don't see the risk. They see productivity improvement, they see higher accuracy, they see the ability to be more efficient, they see how to be a better team member. and a third of employees admit to putting sensitive data into AI models. And folks, ignorance is risk. We're seeing this play out in places like Samsung, where an employee allegedly leaked proprietary information and sensitive intellectual property into ChatGPT on 3 separate occasions. And they didn't even stop to consider the fact that this would have larger ramifications. So, what ended up happening? Well, a Samsung engineer made a critical mistake. He uploaded proprietary source code into ChatGPT. It wasn't a hacker, it wasn't malware. He was trying to get more done. Think about that. The risk didn't come from the outside, it came from inside the business with a simple copy paste, like I showed you earlier. And ultimately, sensitive data was exposed. What was exposed? Still unclear. But what is clear is the moment that data hit OpenAI servers, Samsung lost control of their private data. Their information now was sitting on infrastructure that they don't own, they can't see, and they can't wipe clean. There's no way to guarantee it won't show up in another user's query. By default, ChatGPT retains conversations and uses them to train future models. When you see a free system, you are performing training and you are performing QA. That means even if someone deletes a chat, the data may already be backed up in the AI itself. Think about disabling the history. That's not going to work, not going to help. There were also ramifications for Samsung. Samsung responded fast, right? They banned the use of generative AI tools internally, full stop. Not because AI is bad, but because the way it was used created an unacceptable risk for their organization. Folks, this is a governance issue. This isn't a tech issue. We're talking about trade secrets, intellectual property, and financial information that's being dropped into chat conversations that go somewhere, but no one knows exactly where. So here's the question I want you to think about right now. What's your AI usage policy? Do your teams know what they can and can't share? If someone dumps sensitive data into a chatbot tomorrow, do you even know about it? Samsung had to learn the hard way. You don't have to. Do you know your own policies for proper use of AI? All right, so the front door is all about employees putting sensitive data into AI, and it's about communicating with those employees what the rules are so they understand how to defend the front door. But there's also a back door. You see, AI is harvesting data automatically. Imagine an employee has personally identifiable information somewhere on one of their computers. Maybe they have payroll information in their downloads folder. Like, for instance, somebody goes through and does a 401k census with your payroll organization, and then they save that folder into their downloads. Copilot sees and stores that information. When configured, it can go through and walk through their OneDrive, which is often where your downloads get stored. It also sees all the Teams conversations and every little detail in your email inbox. And here's the thing, it's not asking for permission. If you take a close look at what Microsoft has to say about it, Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 accesses content and context through Microsoft Graph. It can generate responses anchored in your organizational data, such as user documents, emails, calendars, chats, meetings, and contacts. If you have any misconfigured security settings or permissions messed up within your Microsoft 365 tenant, you're in danger. I'm talking about data that isn't properly categorized. Or maybe you've gone through and you've set up data loss prevention, but maybe you haven't gone through and configured it properly yet. That's where AI comes in, scooping up all of your data that it has access to. This makes improper data storage a huge risk in your organization. A question for you to think about as you're thinking about all the back doors of your company: do you currently categorize sensitive data within your company? For instance, financial documents or payroll information. Are these documents tagged as sensitive? If not, Copilot can see them and use them as context when responding to someone's prompt inside of your company, or even give that information out when prompted in the right way. The back door is just as dangerous as the front door. Let's talk about the side door. The side door is where all of the AI plugins and integrations come into play. And that is a huge risk because hackers are taking advantage of you and your team's desire to become more efficient. They're embedding malware into AI applications. And what that means is that they may create an actual usable AI application or plugin. These are coming out left and right, things like brand new software tools or assistants within the AI applications themselves. The problem is many of them aren't fully vetted or tested. And so your employees could be downloading and running things in your company's environment that contain malicious code. You see, people want AI. They want to get it done, and that has turned into major breaches for some organizations. A recent example of this was with Disney. An employee downloaded a free open source AI graphics generator tool on his computer. The problem was it wasn't real. It went through and harvested all of his passwords, all of his account credentials to Disney. And we're not talking about his Disney Plus account here. We're talking about his actual employee accounts. This exposed company data and potential trade secrets. If companies like Disney can't get this right, this means we're all at risk. The other thing that's happening is people are asking AI for advice. You may have done it already. You might have asked AI for advice this morning on what you might be eating for lunch or your calorie intake or something like this. But there's more. Hackers are asking AI to come up with ways to break into the solutions and the security that we're spending so much time putting in place. It's that easy. Here's a quick example of how to write a prompt to go through and figure out what types of SQL attack could be used to break into a bank website. And another thing that's happening is AI researchers themselves are becoming targets because they're building new AI tools. They're building them quickly, almost too quickly. Why? Because in a time when AI has so much value to people's productivity, everyone wants to get their product out the door as fast as they can. That means that sometimes steps are missed and vulnerabilities are left wide open, only found when it's too late. You see, AI has an appetite. It's hungry. It needs your data. But why does AI want all of this data? Well, the answer is very simple. Every time you use AI, you're training it. You're training it to solve problems. You're training it to communicate. You're training AI to do all these things, and then you're turning around and giving it feedback. You're performing the quality analysis. What do I mean? When you work with an AI program and it doesn't give you exactly what you asked for, you have to help it improve over time. And you're teaching it how to become better and more accurate. You're building and improving AI right now with every chat you have and every piece of data you share. And so is your team. Problem is, they might be doing it with your sensitive data. And there's one more note I want to give you guys. One last thing to make sure we're all on the same page. For all of you out there using AI, for all of you using AI for everything you do, AI makes you dumber. What do I mean? There have been a number of studies out on this that point to atrophy. It's a situation where if you're not thinking, if you're not coming up with the stuff on your own, you're becoming weaker at concentrating, or coming up with the new thing. Simple. This is a use it or lose it scenario. Think about your muscles for a second. If you're working out all the time, you're getting stronger. If you're sitting on the couch, you don't. Are you scared yet? Good. That's what I'm trying to help you understand. We have a problem. The problem is how AI works. And how does it work? Well, a generative AI system is one that learns to generate more objects that look like the data it was already trained on. Think of it as a trained expert making decisions on years and years worth of experience. This is where we are today. The learning patterns are so complicated that people don't even understand how the output is generated. This is a black box problem where it's difficult to understand why a model makes a particular decision. And people blindly trust what the computers tell them. And AI can be wrong. Because we can't see inside, that means people might be making decisions from the back seat. They might not be in the driver's seat. They might be just trusting it without verification. So my suggestion for you today is not only to have a policy and a plan, but also to walk through and audit what AI says. Your team must validate what AI outputs, especially in customer-facing or compliance-heavy roles. Don't let the automation replace accountability. Review, verify, and document. Because when AI gets it wrong, the liability still lands on you. And now AI is learning and growing on its own, and we're all feeding the beast. So what can you do? Well, there's a couple of AI implementation best practices that I want to go through with you today. The first one is I want you to think about what you will allow and what you will not allow when it comes to AI. Establish this immediately. Go back to your office, communicate with your team, make sure that you get this dialed in. And recognize that some of your clients may not want their data to be used in any sort of AI training. And some contracts may specifically say no use of AI. I'm talking about contracts and commitments to vendors. We're also talking about your customers' expectations. These are hidden promises that you're making right now, and ultimately, you're responsible. So, what's the first step? The first step is to implement an acceptable use policy. And I'm going to give you a hand with this. In fact, what we put together for you today is an acceptable use of AI worksheet. And I'll send this out to each of you after the webinar. We made this as easy as possible for you and something that you can immediately implement today. The policy worksheet will walk you through how to answer the key questions that you should already be asking when it comes to AI in your environment. It's going to walk you through how to customize the policy to your organization's specific preferences. Some of the key points to consider while you're going through this are generative AI apps and services allowed or prohibited? If they're allowed, which ones are officially endorsed? And who in the organization is responsible for approving AI? Who in the organization is responsible for implementation? And what is considered acceptable or unacceptable use? Once you answer these questions, you'll have a policy customized for the things you want, and all you have to do is educate your team. So folks, we did the hard work for you. We built the policy around how your team can use AI. It doesn't take much time at all to create the new rules for your team and to communicate them out. AI is powerful. We all need to know what we can do with it. But you don't want to give it a blank check and let it start making decisions for you. AI security is not a given. It's not automatic. If it's used improperly, it can expose your company's sensitive data. It can increase the attack surface and put you in the way of regulatory fines and liabilities that you may not be thinking about today. Don't let AI take advantage of your organization. Have your policy, get it put together, get everything in alignment and communicated to your team. But is that it? Let's be honest, just because you have a policy doesn't mean anyone's read it. And even if they've read it, it doesn't mean they understand it, much less follow it. This is one of the most common disconnects we see in businesses. Intent without execution creates exposure. Think back. Have you ever rolled out a new policy and had it fall completely flat? No behavior change, no adoption, maybe even some passive resistance? Why does this happen? Usually it's because no one owned it and rolled it out properly and made sure it was understood and no one made it stick. With AI, policy understanding isn't a nice to have, it's essential. Because a single mistake, like dumping sensitive data into ChatGPT, can expose your company to lawsuits, compliance failures, and reputational damage. Every employee must know what's allowed, what's not, and why it matters. Here's how you make it real. Get everyone to sign it. Acknowledge they've read and understood the AI policy. Commit to following it. This isn't busy work. It's evidence. If something goes wrong, it shows leadership acted. That's your defense in court, in audits, and in the boardroom. But what about the data you don't control? How can you manage that? And I know some of you are thinking, this isn't my job. This isn't what I signed up for. I get it. You may not configure firewalls or patch systems, but ultimately, you handle data. You make decisions that impact systems, and you use tools like AI. That means you're part of the risk chain. You're part of the problem. And business requires you to go through and protect your data. It's like saying leadership can't be outsourced. It's something you have to do inside your organization. I know you might be thinking that you don't have time for this right now, but you will make time eventually. Ultimately, you need a plan in place to avoid a liability, breaches, and potential non-compliance. And we can help with that. What are the next steps that you can go through? I'll give you a couple of steps. First, you can get an analysis of your data. Find out how well your team is doing when it comes to protecting sensitive information. We can go through and provide you an analysis of your environment. We'll do a free cyber risk assessment. We can help you figure out how you're doing when it comes to things like cyber hygiene. We'll go through and we'll analyze your security. Then we'll meet with you, review the results, and give you some simple steps that you can take to protect yourself and your data from AI. You all get a free assessment as a thank you for attending this webinar. So I'll have a QR code at the end and I'll show this URL again. The key here is to be proactive, secure your environment, and reduce your liability. You're probably thinking, what's the catch? There is no catch. I've seen the type of devastation an insider threat can have on an organization like yours. I want to make sure you are preparing for it and you understand where you have opportunities to improve. Then the second thing you can do is to check out our AI launch program. We put together a program that prepares your organization for AI. We'll dive deeper into getting your policies dialed in. Then we'll ensure that you are ready to roll out AI securely and safely in your environment. And then we'll help you get going. We'll start with a group of early adopters, your AI champions. We're going to walk them through 4 hands-on training sessions to get them launched using AI the right way. So there's more information on that on the website. And here are those URLs and the QR codes that you can scan. I'll turn my camera off so you can get a clear shot of those QR codes if you want them. But Also, look for some more information on the launch program in July. Our initial feedback has been great so far, and we're going to have a webinar in July that dives deeper into the AI launch program, explains what it is. And then we're also planning to start our trail guide sessions in July. So after folks go through the launch, we're going to have like a open office hours type of sessions that's going to show what's new, what are the new things that are coming out with AI, the changes in the tools and the programs, some tips and tricks. And these tools are changing every day right now, so we want to keep people up to speed. Then we're going to also build in some time to share ideas and learn from each other as we go through this journey together. So, hey, that's all I have for today. I appreciate your time. I know how precious it is, and I appreciate you taking some time and spending it with me here today. So terrific. I appreciate you being on. Go out and make it a great rest of the day.